record, and I'm just going to say, folks, I'm really thankful that Alan, as you see, his screen name is AEOJX. Sounds like Elon Musk's assistant of some sort, but his name is Alan Abbas. We have been colleagues for quite a bit of time now. I've known him professionally and personally for some time. He's a fantastic performer in the logistics realm, done multiple different roles in Amazon. And when I say Amazon, like that's the latest and the greatest in the world of logistics and supply chain. So folks working there for a period of time, doing different roles, are actually getting an exposure, getting a level of knowledge, which is equivalent to, I think, 2 MBA degrees, right? So very, very thankful to Alan for volunteering to share his knowledge, his experience, his time with us. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to him. It's up to you, Alan. 45 minutes to 1 hour is fine. And I strongly, before I hand it off to Alan, I strongly recommend, please use this opportunity to ask questions and try to make this an engaging session. Okay, over to you, Alan.
Good evening, testing. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm just pressing next because I've not been in the Zoom call with so many people, so it's pretty cool. Okay, I have a PowerPoint presentation to help us through this, but the key here is you. The key is to get the most out of this. So like Ahmed said, the more questions you have, put them in the chat, the more you'll get out of this. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm gonna start sharing. Okay, give me a thumbs up once you see the full screen presentation. Okay, and I can't see
your notes, so you may want to do, I think you are sharing the other screen, Alan. If you have two screens, you may want to swap the screen.
Okay, 1 second.
And while Alan is setting that up, folks, I just wanted to let everyone know, I know there are some folks in this class who are from a different time zone, but Alan is actually based in Toronto, so he's 3 hours ahead of us, which is almost bedtime for him. So even more reasons for us to be thankful to him for his time.
Okay,
and that
can you
explains the coffee that he's drinking.
Yeah, it's just a protein shake, by the way. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you see the full screen.
We only can see you.
Huh? You can see me?
Yeah. Nice glasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't see the screen. Alan. At least I can see the screen.
You can see the screen?
No.
No.
Now?
It's
Now it's, yeah, it's visible.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I'll need your help in is coming up with a name for this presentation. I put it together in the last 2 days, so I'm not a very creative type. And if you are also... Huh? Okay, we'll get started. So for today, I have the following agenda, a quick slide to tell you how to get the most out of this. And you already know it's questions, 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 because no matter how well a presenter will prepare, he will not target the exact things that you're worried about. Your 20, 30, 40 different students with different challenges and different thought patterns. So make sure you get what you need personally out of this. If you don't want to talk, put it in the chat. If you don't want to put it in the chat, send it to me. I'll put my LinkedIn link at the end. So whatever the question is, it's your responsibility to get it answered. We're just the resources here to help you get it answered. That being said, I'll spend a few minutes talk about me just to give you some background on what I do and what kind of experiences I have in education. We'll do a quick Q&A there. We'll talk then about the projects I'm doing with Amazon. I can't go into a lot of detail about that, so it'll be very high level. But the next section, I think, is going to be the most useful and practical for you, because these are the lessons I personally got while job hunting. And I think you guys, are you all in your fourth year? Can you just do with your hand, fourth year students? Third year? No? Second? Oh, third.
I do see a
Okay.
few. I do see a few.
Okay.
And regardless of third or of the year, Alan, you are right. They will be going out of the job market really soon, and they might even be going out for co-op related opportunities. So I'm excited to see job hunting tips on their screen.
Yeah, and I've presented these job hunting tips. I only chose 3 of them for the interest of time, but I've written about them in my articles before, in my podcast, and people get a lot out of it because we'll just see for yourself. Okay, step number 1, airplane mode. It's optional, but it's up to you. The next 30 minutes are going to pass anyway. Ask questions, use the chat, and the person with the most comments in the chat or most hand gestures, if you don't want to talk, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. There's a small gift at the end. And it's a virtual gift. It's not a physical gift, but I think it's something that will be very useful if you're job hunting and you want jobs that kick ass, okay? I went to high school in Dubai. I'm going to be very quick talking about myself. High school in Dubai, IGSE and A-levels. I did good, not the best, but I did good. And then I went to university in Waterloo, got my engineering degree, where I discovered I don't like engineering, and I transitioned out of it into leadership, management, operations, program management, which are things we'll talk about more. So I got the Amazon job just after graduation. I was actually, job hunting outside of civil, and this was one of the most interesting things I can find. And luckily, I was able to get through it. After that, spending 2 years in Amazon, I left to Dubai, where I did about 3 years of entrepreneurship with the family business doing construction. My responsibility there was scaling up the company. We were doing about 5 million in terms of projects, and I doubled that and got us into more commercial projects. That was my focus. So I did a lot of business development. After that, I started my own tourism company, also in Dubai. I'm a big sports fan. I love soccer, the World Cup, things like that. So the bulk of my business was actually sending people to watch the World Cup in Russia, including tickets. It was very niche sports tourism. And if you know Dubai, you know people love sports and people have a lot of money to spend. So it was a really nice business. We were able to sell 1.1 million US dollars in 14 months. And after that, sell the whole company, take 6 months off, and I rejoined Amazon in 2019. Most recently, so it's not organized, 2021, as of last 2 months, I've joined Amazon Logistics, which is part of Amazon Canada, and that was the fastest growing Amazon department we have. When we say logistics, that's going in competition with FedEx, UPS, Canada Post, DHL, Purelator, that kind of business. And 3 years ago, Amazon didn't do any of that. So all our volume out of the warehouses, all the packages we would pack, and will go to the other companies to deliver. But they aren't able to keep up, so we had to start delivering our own packages. Okay, that takes us through the first part about me a little bit, and I'll just stop in a minute for questions so I can see where the chat is because I can't see it. But feel free to talk if you can see it.
I have a question.
Let's go ahead, please.
Did you work at YVR4?
Yes, yes. Can you still see the screen? Can I get a thumbs up? You see the presentation Q&A? Okay. Mihak Preet Kaur, yes, I actually launched YVR4 in October 2019. So I was responsible.
I saw you many times.
Oh, you saw me there? Okay,
Yeah.
did you work in YVR4?
Yeah, I worked for almost 1 year.
Okay, which department?
I was in sorting and picking.
Oh, nice. What did you hate more?
Sorry?
What did you enjoy more out of those 2 jobs?
I enjoyed the sorting part more than picking.
Okay, I think picking is one of the hardest ones personally, but yeah, good to know. Good to know. So YVR4, for the rest of you, we name our warehouses based on the nearest airport code. So all the ones in Vancouver start with YVR. There's YVR2, 3, and 4. 4 is the largest and the latest launch, 2019. Cool, thank you for that comment. Okay, I can see the chat, so whatever questions are there, I'll get to them at the end. We'll have a lot of time because again, I'm gonna speed through the presentation and spend most of my time on questions. So again,
I can help you with the chat, Alan. I don't see anything at this moment on chat, but if I see something, I'll just interrupt and let you know.
Perfect, perfect.
If that is okay with you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, are we ready for the useful stuff? Can I have a thumbs up to proceed to the next one? Oh, perfect, perfect. Wow, it's so much more interactive than a real class. Okay, what do I do as a program manager? In one short sentence, I don't know because it's my second month still. But program management, you run programs depending on where you are. I'm in logistics, so most of my programs I run relate to quality and delivery stations. So I support 4 delivery stations on Ontario. So when we say quality, we mean how many packages reach the customer on time, how many damaged products there are, things that impact the end customer. Is there anyone here that's used Amazon before and Amazon.ca? No?
Yeah, I have used.
Okay,
Yes.
so put your hand up. I see 3, 4 hands. And those who used it, can you give me a thumbs up if you got good service or a thumbs down if you didn't get your packages on time?
I got my package on time.
Can we get a refund?
Professor, he didn't get it.
Can we get a refund if you were?
Well, I had a mixed experience, so I had to give both.
So we have one disgruntled customer here. I'll need to take that offline. Please talk to me, Mr. Pradhan, and I'll help you resolve your issues. No, so it's not perfect like any operation, even though we say it's the best in the world and in terms of technology, software, scale, it is the biggest in the world, but even the biggest logistics will miss some packages. So our delivery rates are in the high 99.8%. So for every 1,000 orders we ship out, only 20 are missed or have issues. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good considering the industry. We also, I want to take a minute to talk about scale, just for you to have an idea of how fast logistics is expanding. So 2019, can anyone guess how many delivery stations were there in Canada? We'll start 2018, there was 0. How many were there in 2019? Just put your hand up. It's a very small number, under 10. So we had 3 in 2019, towards the end of it. How many do you think we had at the end of 2020, which is the quarter that just ended? 5, I have a guess, 5, 10, 4, 10, 10, 10, 10, 5, Janvi. Okay, 25.
No, I said 15, maybe 15.
Okay, so
because in 2020 the system got changed because of virus, so maybe more delivery stations may have effect.
That's exactly correct, actually. So the deliveries went up a lot because of the virus, and 2019 from 3 to the end of 2020 and went up to 15 exactly. So you're absolutely right. And how many are we predicting to have by the end of this year is double of that. So we're going for about 32 by the end of this year. So it's doubling at a scale that we haven't seen even in the warehousing industry and even in our neighbor, the US.
I have a question here, like as you said, like by 2021, we may double it because this stations double because of virus, because people started order online more. But now it's getting quite good with the virus, like we have medicine as well. So don't you think it will get a little slow as compared to the race it took from 2019 to 2020?
Yeah, I think you hit it there. There was an acceleration in the growth because of the virus, but even without the virus, logistics in Canada for Amazon has been growing at a very high rate. So if it wasn't for the virus, maybe we'll have 10 delivery stations. Instead, with the virus, it's 15. So even without it, the growth is there. It's strong. It's not just this year and last year. It's from the first year that Amazon started, which is 2011 in Canada. So yeah, once everything goes back to normal and everyone can shop, of course, some of the online demand will dissipate, but the overall trend, people are buying more stuff online. And this is something not just in terms of analytics, but personally, if you think back compared to 5 years ago, I think we're all doing a little more shopping online, right?
Yeah, now we do everything online, grocery, our products, everything online. Yeah, so it's
Exactly. Great question. And yeah.
So
And
if I can interrupt there a little bit, Alan, I think that's a great question and a teaching moment, a learning moment for everyone in the class. So think of Amazon Logistics as the last mile partner for Amazon. So as Alan said, before Amazon ventured into this business line, what is to happen is, so you go onto the website, you order, the order drops onto a certain warehouse, the warehouse processing happens. We have already gone through it in our class, what happens in a warehouse, and then it exits the building, and it is someone else's responsibility from there. But in this case, since Amazon has decided that it's too big of a risk to be able to tie up with other partners like Canada Post, for example, we know how notorious Canada Post is when it comes to like labor union strikes and stuff like that. They don't want to be held hostage to a third party, to another company for the business line. So Amazon Logistics is expanding, and this is primarily based on Amazon's own volume. But even if Amazon volume stabilizes, think of the opportunity that it has in becoming a standalone company in itself and becoming the next Canada Post, becoming the next UPS, becoming the next FedEx, which is providing only delivery services, last mile delivery services for deliveries originating outside of Amazon.ca. So in that, if we keep that in mind, then sky is the limit.
thank you, Amit. Any questions on that, team? So,
Excuse me.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, it's not regarding the delivery or the logistics. It's about the return policy of Amazon. Like back in countries like India, the return policy, like if we want to return something, an Amazon associate comes to our home and takes the product back, right? But in North America, we have to go to the nearest like store or something where Amazon has its authority that at the place we can return it with certain note on it, and then we get our refund, right? So like, what's the reason that's stopping Amazon? Like, why like we cannot have an associate at our home and take our products, and why we have to go to the store nearby to return our products?
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can take that. And actually, that's a great question, Tej. It's the subject of discussion for this unit. If you guys have looked at the slide deck, this unit is based on reverse logistics. So what you're asking is about returns transportation. That's the term that we use in the industry. And different geographies, different economies have different ways of handling returns transportation. Labor is primarily cheaper in countries like India. So having associates working at like 1/10 the hourly wage rate of what you see in North America, it's more feasible for folks to be having that line of business in a country like that as opposed to in North America, where per hour rates are really high. Now, interestingly, this is also a project, a program that I'm leading for Canada. In US, you actually have that option where you can have USPS or UPS actually knock you on your door and pick up the item from your doorstep. The adoption rate for that is extremely low for whatever reason. It's actually lower than 5%. So people actually prefer to go and drop it off physically and have that control over that drop off. So when I go over the slide deck today, I'll speak of some programs we're doing in this field, which kind of correlates to the question that you're asking. These are things that have already been launched in the US and is in the pipeline to be launched later this year. But the short answer is A, the adoption rate is low. B, the cost is too high to manage.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Amit. And the reason Amit is more suited for this, he's very involved in Canada-wide reverse logistics, which I guess you all know, includes the returns and much more. Excellent. Okay. Thumbs up when you're ready for the next slide. Okay, great. 4 people are ready. Okay, before I start job hunting, I want to tell you logistics is awesome and asking about Amazon and last mile and all that. But when you get down to it, you're graduating, you need a job, you want to put money on the table and you want to grow. At least I did when I was, a few years ago, sitting in your chairs and, listening to lectures about structural dynamics. And I'm thinking about, how can I make $1 million so I can retire? So it's good to have practical things. And that's what I aim to give you here. So I chose 3 things. I sometimes write about this on LinkedIn and talk about a lot more, but I wanted to actually just pick 3 points and open the discussion and try to, from your questions, give you even more useful things. In terms of job hunting, obviously I have my own experiences, but even within Amazon, I'm involved in hiring and developing, which is not only recruitment, not recruitment, but actually internal interviewing, development, mentorship, things like that. So I have a little bit of exposure to this. Specifically, the interviewing part of the situation. Once you've already got the interview, and you want to go and get that offer, that step also needs a little bit of attention. So we'll talk about 3 things. Number 1, job hunting psychology. And the reason I put this, even though I don't have actual tips for it, it's something nobody talks about, yet it's the most important thing. You don't want to hate your life. You don't want to be in a very depressed state while you're job hunting. And guess what? It is a very taxing, especially in this economy, especially not being able to see people. It's very taxing in terms of your psychology. So I want to talk about that for a bit. How to reach out. And this is important because we're social creatures and we all have to get things done with people. So you're not going to land a job without talking to anyone. You're not going to get an offer unless you're interacting with people. So it's important to be effective in how you communicate and get the answers you want without, pissing off the other person. Number 3 is interviewing, which is pretty obvious. You need to ace the interview to get the job. Doesn't matter what your skills are. If you cannot translate that during the interview, doesn't matter, Okay, ready for number 1? Okay, so the start is going to be a little bit of a downer, but I think job hunting is a very ineffective and inefficient process. And the reason I want to tell you this is because you need to be prepared for it. Don't take it personally. This is just a process and you can detach yourself a little bit and work on it. And I personally was not prepared for it. I didn't know. I thought I'm going to go apply for 10 jobs and I'll get 5 offers and I'll choose, maybe Google, maybe it's too far, I'll go for Facebook. It's not like that. You have to do hundreds of applications. You have to play the game. You have to learn the systems, like the ATS system when you apply in your resume, from the interviewing game, what scenarios to practice, from how to network. So there's a lot of individual skills that can be improved, but definitely it's something I see most people are not prepared for. And it's not part of our education. It's not part of high school or university. So it's important you take ownership, break it down into skills and practice, because this is what's going to get you the jobs. If you cannot translate your degree into practical resume points, if you cannot translate your projects into words that make sense, you're not going to get the job you deserve and that you've earned. Most important thing I want to say is rejection. Put your hand up if you enjoy being rejected. Oh, Sakshi likes being rejected. That's amazing. So most people, oh, you like rejection? Okay, I want to hear why you guys like the rejection, because that's very unusual. And I'm not sure if we should have more discussion. Feel free to put it on the chat or just go ahead and tell me.
No, I'll say. Like I applied to many jobs. Like I applied to Amazon, I applied for PepsiCo, I applied for many jobs, but like somehow they reject me. Like if I don't, Amazon reject me for the vehicle I don't have. PepsiCo, then on LinkedIn, one of the recruiters sent me the invitation that they are hiring in USA, and they said that we like your LinkedIn profile, so we just want to go with you. It's an Amazon only. I applied there, and I got rejection. Why? Because I don't have USA visa. So in many jobs I got rejections due to some reasons. So like I'm still applying to many companies. As today only I applied to PepsiCo, which have an internship in summer. I applied today. I'll see what happens.
So how does the rejection make you feel?
It's make me like some, like I'm getting rejection with some reason, right? So I'll improve that reason. I don't have vehicle, it's okay. Sometimes Amazon also don't hire external peoples. They give the promotion to the internal peoples only. Like we have to start with warehouse, and then we have to like then they will give us promotion to logistic and anything. Because one of my friend, she is in HR, and I talked with her because I got rejection. I completed 4 step of interview in Amazon, and then I got rejection. So I asked my friend why I got rejection. Then she said that you must have vehicle for this because Amazon needs vehicle. So I said okay. Then she suggested me that you should start working in warehouse in the Amazon, and then they will give you promotion, and then you can find your desired job or a dream job. I said okay.
Okay, so thank you, Sakshi, for that. And you touched on a really important point. And that's why I asked, how does rejection feel? Because rejection is not nice, but the third point here, don't take it personally, is exactly what you're doing. When you get a rejection, there's 2 ways to do it. You either, choose your favorite corner in the house to cry. Like I like this corner because it has a lot of sunlight. Or the other way is what Sakshi did. She asked questions. She took every rejection as an opportunity to improve. Yes, maybe the vehicle is something you cannot fix immediately, but the process you're doing is correct. Finding what's the gap and trying to focus on that. So that's a very healthy approach. And I like hearing that. And you should continue doing that.
I have a
Yeah, I'm
question
doing that.
regarding.
Continue. And in the last point here, I'll talk about how many times you should expect to do that, because that's where the realistic goals come in. We don't know how much jobs it takes, how much rejection to get where you want, but I'll talk about that. Yes, Janvi, go ahead.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with Sakshi because I used to apply at many places, but sometimes I feel like unfair because Sakshi got the reply, like a feedback. You don't have this, that's why you didn't get the job. But sometimes what happen if we get the rejection from job, I always look for a feedback, like why I didn't get the job. Is my interview was not okay? Is I'm lacking in something? At least they should tell, like, so I don't get that feedback. So how can I improve in this like field? So that's make a problem, and that thing frustrates because I'm going and applying, and they're just like rejecting without any particular thing, without giving any excuse. So that's the thing I find more difficult. That's make me
Excellent.
sad more.
Excellent. And the fact that you realize it makes you sad is a big step, because a lot of people don't realize. They think, I'm confident, even if they reject me, I'm fine. And then 3 months later, they don't want to do it anymore because it took too much out of them. So it's important. Sorry, we'll stay on the slide. So it's important to not take it personally. And to your point, Janvi, not every company, like I've seen the back end where one position might have 300 applications and only 5 of them get interviewed. For a business, unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't make sense to get back to everyone. And I've been on the receiving end, and I've had to, absorb that. So sometimes, yeah, you'll get reasons like Sakshi and you'll be able to deal with it, but 95% of the time you won't. And that's where you don't take it personally. Take a step back, look at your process from a big picture point of view. Don't look at today I applied to Pepsi, they rejected me, therefore I'm the worst person. No. How many did you apply in the last 30 days? 300 jobs? How many callbacks did you get? Do the math, keep the metrics, and try to improve it next month.
Sure, thank
No worries, no worries. I was gonna say one point that's also not obvious. What is the difference between jobs and opportunities? Does anyone want to try? Or are they the same thing?
No, they are not.
Okay, what's the
Jobs
difference?
are like you can get any job. It can be of any kind, but the opportunity is something that shows your talent, where you get the opportunity to improve yourself, to make your skills better. So opportunities, job is something like what we are doing now. Like I'm a cashier. It's like a job I'm doing because I need it. Opportunity is something where I get to improve my skills and to show my talent.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else wants to answer that? Okay, how many
So,
think? Go ahead.
I think opportunities are options which we have to choose, like for a student or for a graduate or postgraduate student. They have lots of opportunities to choose in operations and the jobs what we choose to do.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, so I wanna say about it on a different perspective. For example, if we got hired, whether it's a small restaurant or a warehouse, whatever it is, if we get hired and we are working those duties, which is our primary duties, and we are doing it, and in that the opportunity is to do other work and to get highlighted, and on that basis, the opportunity we got is we got promotions and external benefits.
Okay, let's do a quick survey. I'm gonna ask how many are looking for jobs and how many are looking for opportunities, okay? We'll start with you. You have to choose one or the other, or you can raise for both. How many are job hunting? Or within the next year, they will be job hunting?
Job hunting.
Okay. Okay, I saw 5 hands. And how many will be looking for opportunities? Perfect. Okay, there's a lot more, and that's good. So the way I look at it is jobs are the traditional thing we look for. Like you guys said, you have a set of things to do. A job is literally applying and getting a job. Opportunities are much more than that. So every job is an opportunity, but not every opportunity is a job. And I'll explain more on that. Let me ask a different way. What are some opportunities that are not jobs? Because why are we all looking for jobs in the first place? Most people want it for 2 reasons. A, the obvious, to put money on the table, pay your rent and all that. B, to grow, to learn, to have a career, not just a dead-end job. So money and growth, that's the main 2 things that you're looking for jobs. But opportunities can give you the same thing, but opportunities are a lot more common than traditional jobs. Jobs are a lot less common. So I'll give you an example of an opportunity that's not a job. Starting your own business. Can anyone give me any other opportunities that are not jobs? Another example I like is investing. Everyone here has the opportunity to invest, but it may not look like a traditional job.
Sir, can it be like getting paperwork from the job for PR? It can be opportunity, right?
I'm not sure. What do you mean? Can you just explain more?
Like some people don't provide the like promotions in their job, but still get the job, and their pay rate is minimum. But if we get the job, we get the opportunity to get our permanent residence. Moreover, we get the paperwork from the company owner.
That's a great example. Sometimes it may not look like a great job, but because it gives you the opportunity to have a PR or to stay here for the long term, then it's a good idea. And that's exactly what I mean. I want you guys to just change your perspective from job hunting to opportunity hunting, because you're gonna see a lot of opportunities around you that may give you more happiness and more money than any traditional job. Yes, go ahead, Mihak Preet.
So applying for an internship and getting an internship may also be an opportunity, not a job. Is that right?
Absolutely, 100%. That's a good one. Internships, co-ops, volunteer work. Which is better in terms of your health and learning? Is it better to stay home for 3 months playing PlayStation 4, FIFA 20, if anyone plays, please add me later, or to volunteer 3 months to help in a hospital or to help review, first-year student resumes or to help tutor? Which do you think will give you better perspectives at a job later? Taking the opportunity. Yeah. Is there anyone that can give me an example of an opportunity that's not a traditional job that you all have?
Can we say that like taking care of our elders or like grandparents or something? That is not a job, right?
That's not a job, but it is an opportunity to feel more fulfillment and to add to the world. So
it's like our wish to do their care, not their job.
Yes, and during the time I was job hunting or opportunity hunting, I took the opportunity to live with my parents in order to spend more time with them. So yeah, it doesn't have to be financial, but
we always say that it is a parent's jobs to raise their children as well as their kids.
Yes.
So is it opportunities or is it job? Take caring their like elders or children.
I don't know, but let's take a step back so we don't talk about semantics. I'll just summarize the main point to make sure I land the right point. The point is, if you look for opportunities, you're gonna have a lot more options than if you only look for jobs, because there's a lot more opportunities that we're not looking at. Nobody's gonna come and tell you that you can start a business on Shopify in 30 minutes. You can start investing today, and by the time you graduate in 4 years or in 2 years, you'll have as much money as a job. So these things you have to keep in mind, because they do end up being the full-time jobs later. And I'll skip, we can talk more about this towards the end, but great discussion. This one, I didn't have very practical, actionable points, but I wanted to bring the discussion out because I think it's really important, and we don't have the chance to talk about this. Next one is a lot more practical, and if you're logistics, you're gonna like it. First, let me do a quick survey. Can you put your hand up if you've had to reach out or talk to somebody for any reason in the past? Okay. Okay, so it seems like half the class is able to do things without talking to people, which is a great improvement. Okay, how many people are going to land a career without talking to anyone? Put your hand up. That's something I'm curious about. Anyone? Okay, Sakshi, how you're gonna land a career without talking to anyone? Explain. You don't have to explain if it's hard, but I'm curious.
Actually, like when we share with the people or with our friends that I'm getting the interview from this, then sometimes they feel jealous. So I think I think so. Like I don't want to share with everyone. If I'll get the opportunity, then I'll go and then I'll tell to everyone. I don't want to say.
Thank you for that. I think I didn't. Let me ask the question again because I think I misexplained it. How many of you think they can land your dream job without having to talk to anyone? What I mean is like the recruiter, the company, so forth. Anyone is going to be able to do that?
No.
Just give me a hand up if you can do that so I can learn from you, because I think it's impossible.
it's important to talk because you get the knowledge from other person. Like the
You have to, and you will not succeed without it. This is not a
yes,
weakness. This is the human species. You know, thousands of years we've survived by being societal creatures. We talk to each other, we live in groups, we live in societies. So that's the first thing. You have to do it.
yeah, we
Whether,
called it like taking experience of other person by talking to them.
yes, whether it's taking experience, that's one thing. Whether it's asking for help, whether it's asking for guidance, whether it's just, you know, getting something off your mind because you're really tired of it, it will help make you feel better. So great, we're all in agreement. Talking to people is important. I want to walk you through examples, how to do it and how not to do it. And please, if at any point you disagree, let me know because, you know, this is my opinion and it may be wrong. I'm going to give you an example. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you receive this message, how are you going to feel? Can you review my profile for suitable opportunities? Do you like that message if you get it or no? See, Ahmed put no. That's the guy who can give you the jobs. Why does he say no? What can be done better there? What's not good about this message? Give me one word answers. First of all, it's very vague. Do you agree?
I think the bad point is like we are like ourselves not aware of what we can do. We are asking other person to look for opportunities we can get.
You're asking somebody to do the work for you.
Yes.
That I don't want to do someone's work. When I see that message, I close the tab. I don't want to talk to that person. That's the reality. What can we do to make the first one better?
Maybe to know ourselves much better, like what we can do, and then as the person, like what opportunities others I can get in that field. Maybe in that case, person can help you in it.
Thank you, Janvi. That's an excellent point. That's very good. And I'll talk about more in the next slide how to do that. Exactly right. What else? How can you make the first one a little better? And why is it bad?
Are you asking about the second point or the first again?
We can go to the second one, actually. I'm going to read the second one. Hey, Ahmed, can you find me a point of contact in the finance department? What do you think Ahmed is going to say if you tell him that?
Of course not. Like, I don't think it's the right thing if you are a professional person working in a company. Like, it's not a good thing to give out, like, find me a contact. No, but like if it's a for help, like we do a LinkedIn account, you can join that person, talk to them, and like how that department works. A simple common knowledge we share between friends or the profiles we share. So maybe that can.
That's excellent. Thank you very much. Anyone? I want to hear from those who didn't comment anything about the third one. So someone who has not answered before, what if you send a message saying, can you refer me? And no other info, nothing more, you just send that to someone. Do you think that's gonna work?
No. That seems unethical.
Okay, tell me, unmute yourself and tell me why that's not gonna work. I can assure you it's not gonna work. If you're not sure, it's not, but why?
Because it's very ambiguous. It doesn't make me stand out. It's a message that says, can you refer me? But it doesn't have any context to it in any terms. And if this is my first message to someone, then it's going to be actually very rude to send that message.
Yes, I don't want to tell you what I think, but to me, when I see that, it's lazy, it's rude, and it's someone who wants me to do their work for them, which I'm not willing to do. And you shouldn't either.
Can I tell you an interesting fact about can you refer me?
Yes,
Like
please.
we know that it's a not good point. You won't get like you don't stand out as the Webber said. But at some places, I don't know if you know or not, you only get the jobs because you have referred.
Yes.
You don't need any resume, you don't need any contacts, just you have a reference, you get a job without anything.
Yes, and it's important to get references. I'm not saying it's not important. The point of discussion here is how to do it in a way where you get the response and the result that you want. So I'll show you in the next slide how, but what would you think, team, is a better way of reaching out to someone? Other than these three, how would you do it a little bit differently? From your experience, has anyone had any examples? Did you have to reach out for anyone you don't know for anything like a course, a job?
I have this fact in mind. So it's a kind of psychological thing. So if we ask them in a way that they are helping me in some way, and it's add a kind of like, let's say, a volunteer work, or like it makes the other person feel like he's doing something good. So if we reach out to someone like he's helping us in a big way, then maybe he will go ahead of his limits and maybe help us. So it's just, I was just thinking right now, I just came up with this fact right now. So
that's excellent. That's the difference between asking and consulting or requesting help or requesting advice. It's very different. Your professor can ask you to do your assignment, but you cannot ask someone to refer you. You have to do it in a softer way. And Pardeep gave one example. You ask for help. That's much better. Instead of, can you refer me? If it was, can I have your help on this referral? Do you think that would be a little bit better? Yes, because help is optional. This doesn't sound nice for many reasons. Good one, Pradeep, really good point. And we should always give the other person the option of saying no without feeling bad. Can you refer me? There's no easy way to get out of this. But can you give me help? Like, I want to help you. Just by using that word, I want to do it more. I don't know why. So let's take one more comment and then we'll go to a different example. Or thumbs up if you're ready for the next slide. Just give me a thumbs up, we'll move. Okay, enough thumbs up. Okay, I want everyone to read this or listen to me read it and give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. This is a tricky one. I'm interested in the analyst position at LinkedIn and would like to learn more about the suitable roles. Can I take your help to learn more about the suitable position and start the application process if it is available? Thank you for your time. Take a minute, but I want everyone to give me good or bad. And Amit, wait till the end because I don't want them to cheat from you. I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, let's try to hear it from folks who are yet to speak. I would prefer that.
Yes, so first of all, is this a good message or a bad message? I see good, good.
It's 50-50.
50-50, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone thinks this is not a good message? It's a really tough one because it does sound nice. Amit, what do you think personally? If you received this message, what would you do?
Okay, so this message, I would say, is better than what you were saying in the last slide. Okay, so if I were to deconstruct this, the candidate has stated that they're interested in a specific position. Right now, there's opportunity in making that position a little bit more specific. They might write, I'm interested in a supply chain analyst position or an IT analyst position or whatnot. The more specific you get, the better quality of help you can expect, right? So there's a bit of opportunity there, but still they have done their groundwork in saying, hey, this is what I'm looking for. The tone is one of learning and asking for help. So the right words has been used for the most part, I should say. And also they are asking, can I take your help to learn more about suitable positions? So I can answer from the point of view of someone to whom this thing is addressed, because I get messages like this on a daily basis on LinkedIn, right? So as Alan said, it kind of throws people in a tricky spot if there are direct offers like, hey, can you refer me for this role? Or there's this opening in your org, can I apply? Can I get the role? So when you ask a question that is so direct, it feels a little pointy for the one who is answering that question. So you have to keep it like the part where you are asking for help, that help piece needs to be a little broadened out, and there needs to be an exit path for the one who is actually being asked the question. So for me, if I were to be able to help this person, I can say, yes, I can help you. Let's set up a time, right? For X, Y, and Z. Or I may say, IT analyst positions is not in my domain. I'm sorry, I cannot help you with that. I may offer to connect them to someone, or I can say like that's the end of the discussion, right? So there are opportunities for me to answer this query in different ways, and that is how I'm going to. That's what my view on this write-up is, Alan.
But I would like to say something in there.
Yes,
I
Janvi.
don't know if it's right or wrong, but at the first part, he's asking for help. But then the second part, he's asking for a job. Like, I think it's wrong. If he's asking for help, look into the positions that are available. Then only we can start with the process, like uh, application, right? He doesn't know about the job. He's asking for the positions that are available and directly saying, okay, can I apply for that as well? He doesn't know. He's just looking
That is
for a job.
yeah, I think Alan is going to touch on that. I want to leave it to him to touch on that process. But also look at this. He is asking, can I learn more about the suitable position? There's a
Yeah,
difference in tone here, right? As opposed to, I'm going to apply, can you refer me to this role? Right? So it's like when you say that you're directly going for the chase, you're going for the kill right away in one statement. And don't go for the kill in one statement, is what I'm going to say. But other than that, I'm going to leave it to you, Alan, to mention like your feelings on it.
Yeah, so first I'll say people are different, and sometimes just being very direct might work with some people, but we're talking in general. And in general, the tone is very good. And like Amit said, the start is very well, but what is the ask here? What is this person asking for help exactly? First of all, can I take your help to learn more about the suitable position and start the application process? So if I read this correctly, they want me to tell them about the role. They don't know it very well, even though they chose analyst role. Secondly, they want me to help them start the application process. It's too much work. These are things you can easily do. And I'm not saying you can't learn more, but if you've already done your homework and you want to learn more, the questions will be a lot more targeted. So this is much, much better than the last one, but I can think we can do even better than this. What do you guys think?
The first part is a kind of like a no, but when we come back to the underlined part, I think that's a very good line, and I'm going to remember this line. I might write it somewhere, but that's a good line. So can I take your help? It's not perfect, but I can make some changes. And
don't make any changes. I'm gonna give you a better one, and you can just save it. Ready? Kamal is laughing. Kamal is waiting for this the whole hour. Okay, anyone wants to say anything, or should we go for the example I have? So I have a template for you guys. This is the thing that I think you can adjust and fix to make it your own, but these are what... Can everyone read this? Okay, hello. I found this specific job on the company website, and you put the actual job ID or the link. And I believe I'm uniquely qualified, not just qualified, because guess what? There's 24 others in this class that are as qualified as you. So you have to be uniquely qualified to do this job, and you have to explain why very briefly. You can say, oh, I've done this before, or I'm in a degree that targets logistics. And in preparation, what have you done? I have already applied, I have already researched it, I have already reached out. Here is my CV, here's my information. Do you have any advice how I can be a better candidate or any pointers you'd be willing to give. What do you guys think of this? Give me a thumbs up if you like it.
Totally good. Like,
Give me a thumbs up with the other hand if you're gonna use it. Okay, now, don't use it with me, but use it, please, okay? Because I gave you the template, so at least don't use it with me.
That
Okay,
will
you
be
can use
poetic
it.
justice. Like just copy this and add Alan like right after this call, and then write everyone asks.
Imagine I get 24 messages exactly like this after the call. You know what? It's useful. I think this has a lot of information, and I've got messages that are very similar to this. The only challenge is keeping it short. When you add a lot of info, the message becomes harder to digest. So try to hit all of those points in a concise way and start the conversation. This is an excellent way. You give the person everything you've done, why you think you're qualified, and you just ask for advice. And the person, if they want to help you, they will help you more than that. And if not, it's not a big deal. Does anyone have any ways to make this message better?
Yeah, I just want to say, if you guys are writing to Alan, just as a postscript, you may write, Alan, since we got this template from you, you can't reject us anymore. You have to accept our message.
That is one way of doing it. Okay, team, any comments, or should we go? We only have 1 point after this, but if anyone, I'm curious, anyone thinks this is a bad way to message? And
No,
please be honest.
It's a very good way to message, but once I actually attended a virtual fair of PepsiCo, and in there, when I talked with the recruiters, they told me that because I haven't been into many, let's just say, events, or I don't have much experience, I'm just an undergrad student, so I shouldn't. So there's no motive to include my CV, because CV should be included when you have very good experience or experience in studies and volunteering experience. So as a student like me who hasn't done much, who is just an undergraduate doing his degree, I shouldn't actually include my CV because it's just the same as my resume.
There's a big discussion there. I see this a lot with students, that they think because they don't have a job, that means they don't have experiences. And you can have experiences even without having a job. Have you, for example, have you sold anything in your university years? Did you try to resell something? Did you try to invest? Did you try to start a business? Did you do any projects? Did you help your friend? All these, did you organize a sports event? Did you organize a TEDx talk? Did you help the professor in grading? Did you work as a cashier? That's also customer service. Did you work as a physical laborer? That is not an easy job. So it's up to you to find a way to express your experience in a way that is easy to understand and can be on your resume. Don't wait for the job. You don't need to wait for the job. I guarantee you, you have experiences. You've been alive on this earth for 20 plus years. You've interacted with thousands of people. You've done thousands of things. Even if you played a video game and you got to the top 100 players online, that's impressive. If you get, like, some games pay you millions if you're in the top of the league. Did you play sports? Were you a captain? Let me give you one example of something that helped me land the Amazon job when I was 23 years old in my 4th year in university with no experiences. You know what I talked about in terms of leadership? I talked about being a soccer referee, because at university I was refereeing soccer games. I did 48 of them, and I was paid about $10 to $15 per game. And if the other team doesn't show up, we get to play soccer for an hour. And I used that as a leadership experience, because you're dealing with conflict, players fight, you're dealing with safety issues. Sometimes there's injuries. You're dealing with high stress. You know, there's 11, 20 players looking at you for a decision. So I guarantee you that most people will not talk about that in an interview, but it's on us to reflect, and it's not easy. It's easy to say, I don't have a job, but if you reflect on the things that you've done, you will find a lot to put. Is that fair? I don't remember who asked the question, but look deeply, and I guarantee you, you'll find a lot of experiences.
So did you write that on your resume?
I
The
did.
match,
After the
the match
interview,
replica.
I did. When I was in the interview, it wasn't on my resume, but I used it and the interviewer liked it. And right now it is on my resume. Another thing I've done is I've done a marathon, which is like a long distance running. And I use that as an example of in an interview when they ask me, what do you do in ambiguous situations? I told them I have no experience with marathons, yet I was able to come up with a plan, consult with the right people, and achieve my goal. So personal experiences matter a lot. I'll give you one more example, actually, also from an Amazon interview, because I've done 3 rounds of interviewing with Amazon when I first joined 2019. And recently, to get this role, I had to interview 4 to go from operations to program management. And each interview is 3 to 5 individual interviews. And each individual interview, 3 to 5 situational questions. And each one of them is graded on a scale. So you have to be well prepared. They asked me about failure. And by the way, we'll talk about this in the interviewing part, but you need to be prepared for all these traditional questions. You cannot be thinking about them in the interview. For example, what is your weakness? What is your an example of conflict? What is an example of a project you failed on? Tell me about yourself. All these standard questions, you need to go on Google, type top 50 HR questions, download them, and every day answer 1 or 2 and build yourself a bank of excellent answers tailored for you. And keep improving it. Every time you have an interview, improve it. Let me switch to the next slide because it's all about interviewing. Okay, this is our last slide. How many of you have had job interviews in the last year? Okay, excellent. How many of you think job interviews are important events that can change your life, or what we call high leverage events? Okay, good. If you think about it, in 1 hour, you could be making $100,000 or 0 if you don't get the job. So there's not many hours in your life that will have such a big payoff. So it's a high leverage events. How many of you have scheduled mock interviews in preparation for your real interviews? Excellent. If Sina, do you want to tell us a little bit about who did the mock interview for you? Because that's something I want to talk about.
So middle of pandemic, so my job is, so actually right now I'm a manager of a company. We're importing products from Thailand or Southern Asia to Canada, and middle of pandemic, I lost my job actually. And so I was a little bit nervous, and I was like looking here and there to find a job, and I find a position in Rogers telecommunication. And so it was a good job opportunity. Actually, I got the job, but we came back to business faster than I thought, sooner than I thought. And so I was a little bit nervous, and my friend suggested, let's have a mock interview. So we went through some of the old interviews that their previous employers posted on Indeed. And I got the almost some stuff that they're gonna ask. I prepared, and the things that I should have prepared myself. So he wrote the questions, and we started the interview. So as the name says, it's a mocking interview. So he tried to make it legit, to make it more close to the reality, that the questions that the interviewer might ask. And it quite helped. And I got the job, and most of it, I'm so thankful that I could have access to the previous interviews that the employees did. And so yeah, there you go. That was my experience.
Thank you, Sina. That's excellent, and I'm glad you did that, and I'm sure it helped in landing you the job. So what is a mock interview? Anytime you have an interview and you don't prepare in terms of not having a mock interview, it's like going to a sports event without doing any practice. It's just not gonna set you up for success. Even if you pass it, you passed despite not practicing, not because of it. So it's really easy and useful. And if you were to do only one thing, I know sometimes we don't prepare for interviews. Let's say it's in the middle of your finals, or if you only have 2 hours to prepare, use one of those hours to schedule a mock interview. And the second question here is who can do my mock interview? And let me ask you guys, how would you, let's say, I'm gonna choose one, you know, Janvi has an interview with PepsiCo in 1 week, and she wants a mock interview. And she came and asked the class for advice. Who should do her mock interview, or what advice would you give her?
Can you ask the question again? I didn't get that.
Janvi, your colleague, has a PepsiCo interview in 1 week, as an example, and she wants to do a mock interview. She, you know, she remembered this talk, and she thought, okay, Alan keeps talking about mock interviews, I want to do one. But how can she actually find someone to do a mock interview, and who is the right person to do it? Just asking practically, because that's something you guys have to think about. Tell me, go ahead, Mihak.
She can take the help of someone who works in a large organization, who has gone through from all that process and have some experience related to that. For example, I worked in Amazon, and if she wants not the PepsiCo, but if she want to hire in Amazon and want to know like what kind of departments, and like if she didn't have any basic knowledge, then I can help her, like what's the process and how things are going on in that, and so that's how she can take help.
That's excellent. That's a really good start, Mihak. Thank you. Anyone else? What other advice would you give her? Let's make it a little harder. Let's say she took Mihak's advice, but she doesn't know anyone. Everyone she knows, you know, is a student. She doesn't know anyone that worked in PepsiCo. She doesn't know anyone in the industry. What should she do? Someone else, if you don't mind, answer. What would you advise?
Maybe I can take help of LinkedIn, but because it's a place where I can connect to them.
Yes, that is the correct answer. So what I would do, I would go to LinkedIn, put the position you're looking for, find 5 to 10 people that are doing it, and send them a message using the template. Hi, I have an interview with so-and-so, and I'm just wondering if you have any pointers. And if you want them to do a mock interview, you can even offer them, you know, I'm happy to pay for your time, whatever, $100 per hour. Because guess what? That $100 might get you 50,000, 100,000 in returns. So don't be smart in investing money where it's going to bring you more money. And guess what? I've done that a lot. Nobody's ever taken my money. They always help. People like to help, but you got to show them that you really have done your work and you're willing to appreciate their time financially, because everyone, you know, time is the most important resource and we cannot just demand it from people. So that would be what I want to leave you with. If you have to do only one preparation for an interview, do a mock interview. If you don't know anyone that can do it, by the way, even between yourselves, having a colleague do it, that's also possible, because you can do the HR questions together. What's your weakness? Tell me about you. All those help you get into the groove. But it's better to get a professional because they're going to really challenge you in similar ways. Perfect. Any questions about mock interviews, or any comments or concerns or anything?
I would like to mock interview. Like, can you tell more about it? Because I have never done it. And is it like a difficult task kind of thing where you have to put more knowledge?
It's a mock just means, you know, it's a practice interview. So it can be harder. It's better for me when I do mock interviews for my team, I make it a lot harder than the real interview. As long as they have some time to recover, they use that as an opportunity to get better. So yeah, it can be harder, it doesn't have to be, but the main thing is to just go through an interview before the real thing. Like anything in life, when you have an exam, if you practice the same questions, the same type, even if it's not exactly the same, it will help you. You will know how to do the calculation, you will get into the groove of things. I cannot stress this enough. It's really important.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Any more comments about interviewing? Thumbs up when you're ready for the second one. Okay, 2 of you are ready. So everyone else, you can leave. No, I'm just kidding. Next, find an interview bank. We spoke about this. I'll be very quick. Find a lot of questions, answer them, and you'll do great. When should you start this? The moment you get the interview, right? Wrong. You start way before that because you're not gonna have a lot of time. You might get a message today that you have an interview on, Monday. You think in 3 days you're gonna go from 0 to 100? No. You need to start your preparation. If you know you're job hunting in 6 months, start answering questions now. Start your preparation now. And the last and final point is the STAR or CAR format. Is anyone familiar with this? Other than Ahmed? Anyone has heard about STAR? Situation, task, action, result. Or CAR, which is a little bit simpler, context, action, result. Okay, I'll talk about this for a minute because it's a really powerful way to phrase your experiences. I'll do an example. Can someone give me a task from their resume and just read it to me, or some task that you did, and I'll try to put it in the STAR format.
Can you repeat it?
So I'm going to give you an example of how to use the STAR format. So, but give me one regular statement from your resume. For example, I audited the account. Give me any example and I'll make it a STAR format to show you.
Okay, so on that question, folks, I think Kamal had a few questions for me last time based on interview. So Kamal, if you can volunteer here, and I think this will be helpful for you. If you have a specific example from your resume, you're on mute. Not sure if you're running into tech issues.
No worries. I'll give an example.
I have one. Can I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So it's not from the resume, but when I went to the interview,
just one sec, Janvi. I think Jasprit had something to say. Jasprit, you raise your hand.
Yes, sir. Like, so in STAR format, like, can we ask a question like, if we have gone through any stressful situation or conflict at workplace, so how we had handled that thing?
Okay, perfect. That's an excellent question. So I'll just repeat it. Jasprit asked, can you give me an example of a stressful event and how you handled it? And that's a very common, that's pretty likely interview question. So I'm going to answer it in 2 ways, and you tell me which way is better. Yes, Jasprit, I've had a very stressful events. When I was in university, there was a lot of courses and a lot of deadlines, and I had so many exams on the same day, and it was so stressful, but then I worked so hard, and then I conquered all my challenges, and everything ended up fine, and I'm so proud of myself. Is that an okay answer?
Yes, sir. Like, it's same with us as well. Like, as we are in university, so like we have lots of assignments and deadlines, and we make sure like we don't go over the deadline date. So we work hard and try to make the assignments so that we can nail good marks. So yeah.
I think it's not the answer we are looking for, because my question is same as Jasprit, because I went to the interview, they asked me like how you cope with the situation at your current work. So like if you are suffering, like you have a situation while you're working, how you handle a customer if the customer is getting angry. So I said kind of the same thing because I don't have an experience. So, but he was looking for something else.
Yes, I will tell you what's the something else. You're right. Even the answer I gave you guys, that's useless. That's like, it sounds nice, but it's just words. It means nothing to me as an interviewer. Let me now give you a similar situation using the STAR format. STAR format is 4 things, as you can see: situation, task or target, action, and result. And I'm gonna go through the 4 using the same example that Jaspreet gave. Give me a time about a stressful situation. Okay, situation was during my 4th year in university, I had 3 courses finals in the same week. That's the situation. You explained very well what was on stake. If I don't pass those courses, I don't get my degree. Number 2, what's the task? My target there was to pass all courses and finish all my deliverables, which was hard because I only had 3 days. Perfect. What's the action? The action I took was I realized that there's not enough time and I had to leverage the expertise of Antrip because Antrip is much better at logistics than me. So he was able to take that part. And I also, in my group in my group project, I let the team know that this week I won't be able to do a lot of work, but I'm going to catch up over the next 2 weeks. So that gave me some bandwidth using those 2 courses to attack the 3rd course. Perfect. Number 4, result. The result is I was able to get an average of 84% in those 3 courses, which is 6% higher than the course median. So you give context as well. So these are 2 similar situations. What do you think? Do you prefer the first vague answer where it was general statements, or do you prefer the same situation in a star format? Second situation? Okay.
Star format.
I have a line to say. So how can you align this one in the star format? That is to ensure that all assigned work is performed in compliance with relative occupational health, safety, legislation, and regulation.
Sorry, is that an interview question?
I just giving a lines that how you put it that in a star.
Okay, let me try to do that. So how would you follow all the regulations to ensure work as well? So
along with the health and safety.
Okay. So you'll have to go through the situation, task, action, results. So break your answer to 4 parts. What was the situation? The situation was I was working here and it was really important to follow the guidelines. Otherwise, we will get shut down by the ministry. That's the situation. Task. Your task was to ensure compliance. So you say that very directly. My task was to ensure compliance to the regulations. 3rd part is the action you did personally. And team, Google the star format. You'll get a lot of info about this. Don't just depend on me, but I'm just giving an example. The action you took, you talk about specifically what you did. I took time to learn the regulations. I took some training in the regulations. I set up a meeting with my counterpart to learn more. So what did you do? And the result, you have to find a way to express. For example, my result was a 95% compliance rate, or the result was during my 6 months there, we had no infractions and we had no penalties from the ministry. So you have to find a way to quantify that you achieved your result. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I just want to add just one line here, folks. Often, like from my experience of doing like more than 100 interviews at Amazon, what I see is people do have a sense of the star format because it's so much out there in the internet. People do some preparation, but I would say 30–40% of the time, people forget to mention the results. And that's like watching a movie without watching the ending of the movie, right? It just keeps you hanging in there. And the worst part is you have to ask like, okay, so you did all of these things, what happened? So make sure that when you're answering the question, you have answered it to such an extent that no follow-up is possible. If there's a follow-up, if there's a probe, let the other person own that. But you answer it in such a way that no follow-up is possible, all loose ends are tied. And again, word of caution, people tend to forget speaking about the results for the most part. Please like drill that in your head. You have to get to the results. And if I were to assign some sort of weightage, I think talk about the situation should be like with a bang. Try to make it sound a bit dramatic. It's the so what of the question, like so what, you've done all of this, so what? So you're answering the so what right in the beginning, and talk a lot about the action. And when you're talking about the action, golden rule of interview: do not mention we. When you're talking about action, try to stick to I as much as possible, because if you use a lot of we in the action, you can be rest assured the follow-up question will be, okay, so what exactly did you do in that equation? So try to narrow that down while answering the question itself. I, as the program manager, took on the onus to reach out to the ministry, find out what the regulations were, and figure out what needs to be done in a cross-functional setting to resolve these challenges. So we is good for meetings, I is good for interviews. Have this distinction in your head. Over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amit. Okay, team, that brings us to the end of the interview. I promised you one gift, and that gift, it's 3 gifts. One will go to the person who contributed the most or had the most comments, and I think that was, where is she? Did she leave? Oh, Janvi and Mihak Preet. So those will be the 2, and the third one. So let me tell you what it is. So I can help review 3 resumes or LinkedIn profiles. So I'm going to give the first one to Janvi. Send me your profile on LinkedIn. And if you don't want, you can give it to anyone else in the class. Mihak Preet, same thing. Find me on LinkedIn, send me your resume or LinkedIn, and I'll give you my comments, and I'll be very direct. If I think it's crap, I'm going to tell you, hey, you're not going to get a job with this. If I think it's excellent, I'm going to steal some of it. So just be aware. And the third one, there's the 3rd resume on LinkedIn is the first person to message me. So starting now. So whoever has a resume that gets it to me, I'll make sure to review it, up to 3 people. Feel free to add me also if you have any more questions. And if you found this useful, let Amit set up another one and we can talk about more job hunting techniques and more practical things. That's all for me today. I don't know how much time we have, Amit, for Q&A, but I'll leave that with you and I'll be here available.
Sure, I think we can take 10 minutes, and we are due for our first break, but I'm sure the class won't mind if we hang on a little longer, just because we don't get to have a speaker like you every day. For the Q&A, I already had a couple of questions come in on the chat window.
Okay.
So the first one was from Jaspreet, and the question is, with the experience of COVID-19, what is the business continuity plan for Amazon warehouse?
I'm not sure. What do you mean?
So Jaspreet, is that with regards to social distancing and super spreader events, stuff like that, or is it regards to business risk with regards to the economy not performing as well and the purchasing power going down in the economy? Like, what exactly are you trying to get at?
So like, sir, it's common with social distancing and how like the Amazon is like helping their warehouse to be continuing offering the service and delivering the orders at a time. So that's what it's mean.
I think that's an important question, and Alan is fresh out of FC. He can speak a little bit about the kind of process changes that Amazon has made to ensure business continuity in the warehouse.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I'll answer it. The best way to find, there's a lot of actions. If you Google COVID response plan, Amazon warehouse, you'll see a list of all the processes and changes. But the main things to keep in mind, we have what's called an AI software. Any 2 people that get in close contact, it gets captured on the cameras and escalated. Everyone wears masks all the time. We've redesigned most of our processes to enable social distancing and minimize human contact. So there's a lot of things. I can't go into detail about all of them, but a lot of that is available online. If you search COVID response Amazon, you'll see a lot of articles about that. Thank you for that question.
And if I may add, just some of it may sound like straight out of a dystopian novel. For example, the cameras and the AI predict like kind of searching for who is within 6 feet and all that stuff. So there's a bit of, I would say, dystopian measures being taken. But I guess that's to keep the ministry and the visits in check, because there has been quite a few escalations last year from Amazon warehouses with regards to like the norms not being followed.
Absolutely. Antrip, do you have a question? I see the hand up.
Yes, sir. Like one of my friend worked in Amazon, and he is living there. He's a delivery guy over there, and he told me like in the Amazon, like if a shift started off a delivery guy at 7 o'clock, and he have to wait like till 1 hour to go through a process, like take a van over Amazon and go through, and he have to go through at 8 o'clock. So it is a wastage of time over about a 1 o'clock, and there is no pay given to him about that 1 hour. So what's the process you have to follow like to for solve this kind of problem?
So day-to-day operational efficiency is usually handled by the sites. I don't know what the situation exactly was, but typically from the moment you start work, you have to clock in. And the drivers, actually, Amazon doesn't have any drivers working directly for them. They all work for what we call DSPs, delivery service providers. So I can't comment on that situation because I don't know, but there must be a reason for it. And that person, the driver, has some escalation channels, like talking to his supervisor. And situations like this, usually, like you're not gonna lose your pay if it's something not your fault. That's the general trend. Thank you, Antrip.
Thanks, Antrip. I have one question coming in on the chat window from Bebav, and I think it's a relevant question that a lot of the folks here would like to know the answer to. And the question is, does a Canadian working experience make a potential candidate more desirable? And even if that experience is related mostly in customer service, but the job is logistics supply, like if you have experience in Y, but you're searching for a job in Z, is Canadian experience still more desirable? So what's your take on that, Alan?
I think it's natural that experience in the country you're looking for is more valuable. If you were in Germany, of course, German experience is more useful, but being in Canada and having experience in Canada means you're exposed to a lot more of the industry regulations, the industry best practices, and the network. So yes, absolutely, it's better. Someone is not on mute.
Sorry, folks, if I can go on mute if you're not speaking, please.
Thank you. So yes, to answer it in one sentence, Canadian experience is important and it is more valuable, but not having Canadian experience does not mean you cannot do anything. You can restructure your experiences in a more suitable way. You can learn from the industry here. You can volunteer, you can network. So there's a lot to be done. Don't stress, but it's easier if you have Canadian experience. So the first job does take a little bit more effort, but once you're in the groove, things get a lot easier. So don't worry.
What I would say, Vaibhav, is similar to what Alan is saying. Yes, like the local experience, the local exposure for the most part does carry weightage. And I think anyone who has ventured in the job market in Canada will attest to that. We used to think that there is what is so magical about Canadian work experience that people having like even much broader scope of knowledge and experience find it difficult to land a job here. So it is true. It is not a myth. It is very, very true. If you are trying to change your industry and looking for a job in the Canadian job market at the same time, that's challenging, right? Because there's two different things happening at the same time. But if you have already consolidated on, let's say, a role, or also consolidated on skills, and then based on that skill you want to venture out, that should not be a big challenge. And if you want to change industry, that is not impossible, but then be prepared to go down a little bit so that you can go up later down the line. Right? Don't expect that right off the bat you were in marketing and now you want to go into operations and you will be hired as a senior operations manager. That's not going to happen. A more logical approach would be going as an operations coordinator and then walk your way up. Right? So that's what I'm going to say. We can discuss more on that offline, if you have more questions. Okay.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No worries. I have one question from Kamal. Think it seems like his tech is working again. Kamal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask something. Sir, like Amazon have PA and PGs. is it come in not B jobs, the PA and PG level?
And are you asking from an immigration standpoint?
I didn't get the question.
Sorry?
I didn't understand the question. Can you repeat it?
So like my friend, like I haven't worked in Amazon, but my friends are working there, and they said me like they usually call their supervisor PA or PG.
Sorry,
So is it like
Sorry, Kamal,
not
maybe
B
better
level
if
job or what?
you type up the question and we can take it from there, okay? We
Yeah,
are
type it in the chat because I can't
PA
hear you
and
clearly.
PG.
Yeah, so Kamal, please type up the question. We can't hear you. Okay, we'll move on to the next one from Pradeep. We can't hear you either, Pradeep.
So how important is LinkedIn? So
how important is LinkedIn?
Yeah, because I don't wanna. So my thing is I'm trying to get away from, let's just say, social media, and I'm not too much active on any of the social media networks or even on LinkedIn. So I put some thought. I have put 1 or 2 posts on LinkedIn, but I think, sir, have you seen one of my posts on mental health? Did you?
I'm not sure.
No.
But admin, I'll see them. And to answer your question, yes, we're all trying to use social media less, but LinkedIn is the new way things are done. You know, LinkedIn is the professional network. There, especially with COVID, there is no networking events. There is no job applications. Everything is happening on LinkedIn. So if you want to improve your chances, you have to be there. You have to work on your profile. You have to stay active and stay engaged, and you will get a lot out of it. If you choose not to do that, it's fine. It's optional, but you're going to lose on a lot of opportunities. So be very careful with that. And I completely understand reducing social media, but this is a very important part of social media.
So what kind of?
So think of it this way, Pradeep. The moment you make an application for a job, people would like to know more about it. And these days, no one is going to give you an interview called slam dunk. They will do some background research on you. They will try to validate if your information is accurate. The other day, I had someone from Aritzia, the director of supply chain from Aritzia, reach out to me. They shared a resume with me and said, "Hey, can you validate if this guy is actually working in Amazon?" And the resume was like, this guy is a senior director of Amazon, Vancouver and Los Angeles, and he's running Whole Foods and Amazon Logistics at the same time. So I just looked at the resume. I'm like, none of this adds up because this guy is clearly faking. We don't have roles like this in Amazon, but I still did a LinkedIn search to see if someone existed. So that's what recruiters do. They go to LinkedIn, they will try to validate the background information to see if you actually exist and if the information checks out. So just maintaining a presence, even if you don't want to be like super active. I know some people like they spend 20 years on LinkedIn. I don't think that is necessary at this point, but having some sort of presence there is going to improve your chances, as Alan said.
Another question: what kind of presence do the recruiters see? So what kind of post do you want to see? What kind of activity do you want to see on LinkedIn?
We can talk about that a lot, but you have to, the way I do it is you have to be you and you have to share real things about you that are useful or interesting to others, like having a normal conversation. When you're with your group of friends, if you share boring articles and you only talk once a month, you're not going to be their friend for much longer. So it is just normal human interaction. Do what feels right to you and what you're interested to talk about. And answering Kamal's question, I don't know about the NOC and those. I'm sorry, I don't have information about that.
Okay. One last question. I think we're just exploding with questions. Okay, one last question before we let Alan go. Magprit, your hand is still raised. Do you have anything?
No, it's from the previous one.
Okay. Okay, if you guys can put your hands down if you don't have any question.
That's part it.
I don't see any more questions on on the chat window. So one last call. Anything else? Okay, Pradeep.
Yeah. Question.
So let's just say I've been applying to a lot of internship jobs. So because I think I'm getting rejected for my LinkedIn profile because I haven't maintained anything there. So that's my intuition. I'm not sure because I've changed my resume wholly. I have completely changed my resume. So my resume is kind of good. So it's just a LinkedIn profile that I was worried about. So what I was thinking that so LinkedIn profile is going to take like a month or 2 months to get improved because I have to post things that I think that I post some quotes from a books that I'm reading that I have a lot of quotes from the books too. So it's gonna take time. So for the time's sake, should I go on Indeed and apply there? Because they actually don't see, I don't think the applications or the applicants or the recruiters that are on the LinkedIn focus much upon the LinkedIn. They just focus up more upon the resume and the assessment they gave us through the Indeed, I think.
First of all, it's not going to take a month to improve your LinkedIn. It's going to take 1 hour. So start with breaking down the task. You don't need to perfect it on the first time. Spend 30 minutes this month and I guarantee you will improve it. It seems like you're doing the right things. Secondly, yes, you can avoid LinkedIn and apply on Indeed, but guess what's the first thing they're going to do when they see your name on the resume? They're going to go and check on LinkedIn. So no matter what, LinkedIn is the yellow pages, or it's the directory of every professional, and you can try to escape it, or you can try to adapt it and use it to your advantage. So do what makes sense. Don't worry about making it perfect and having a schedule. Just update it, work on it every month for an hour, and you'll see it gets a lot better, and you'll start seeing the value in it more and more. And use Indeed as well, but don't replace. It's not an or, A or B. It's an and game. We're in the age of and. A and B. LinkedIn and Indeed. You know, do everything.
Okay. So then just one last question. So I'll let you go after that. So
thank you.
Will it be okay for me to post some of my thoughts that I think after reading a book or some kind, so it's a philosophical thoughts, maybe I mostly think of philosophical thoughts, not any business thoughts. So is it okay for me to post those on LinkedIn?
What do you think?
A lot, mental health or things, why do we live life, what kind of thing.
There is no rules. Share and see what kind of engagement you get. If it's something that is important to you and you spend a lot of time about, I would encourage you to share it and try to make it more relevant about job hunting, something relating to jobs. How does mental health impact jobs? So yeah, there is no rules. Some things are unprofessional, you can't share, but I think philosophy is, it's possible to put it in a way where it makes sense and it adds value. So you may not be able to do it immediately. Maybe you need to edit it a bit. Maybe you need to present it in an interesting format, like in a video, but definitely do it. Don't worry about it. Put it out there and good things will happen.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, folks, at this point, I'm going to say we need to be mindful of Alan's time because, as I said, he's on the East Coast. It's almost 11 p.m. for him. And I know he's someone who goes to bed early, if I still remember that right about you, Alan. So can I request everyone to do one thing? Can I request everyone to unmute yourself, please? All of you at the same time, please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
All of you, please unmute yourself. And can we have a round of applause for Alan, please, so that he hears it?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Or shukran.
Thank you, guys. I put my LinkedIn in the chat. It was really fun talking to you. Stay safe and have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Alan.
Have a good night.
All right, folks, we are quite past our first break time. So it's 7:50. Let's come back at 8:15. And we're going to do a little bit of a slog for the last 45 minutes. Okay? Go take your break.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.